Hello, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Transformation Podcast. Sorry, it's a bit late, guys. We've had some technical technical difficulties. We had a great guest on, but unfortunately, we're new to this, so the file may have corrupted, been lost forever to the internet.
The cut.
Yeah, so today we want to do a special little Christmas themed episode. Definitely not because we have nothing else to do. But yeah, we think it could be quite fun. So just to start off on a little light-hearted note, Ayush, what's the best present you've ever received at Christmas?
Don't get presents, mate. Too cool. Just like my presents for myself is a present in itself. So
No, but did you not get the because when I was like 13, I got the little set of dumbbells that kicked off my whole journey, like 2 kg, 4 kg, and 6 kg.
I don't know if mine were a gift. I can't remember. I think mine were like I was like, I need to start lifting weights, and I just bought like 10 kg York. You know those York things with the cast
Yeah.
I got them. I don't know. It may have been for Christmas. Oh no, I did get a pull-up bar to put on the wall. That was a Christmas thing, even though like those things are so sus. Like,
That's another classic.
I don't know if I could hang on it now, but when I was like 40 kilograms, I think that was possible.
Yeah. So the first thing probably going to kick off with, with this episode, we're going to try and link in like obviously fitness and Christmas and bit of both, have a bit of fun, but also try and like give our opinions on some Christmas stuff. So what we want to probably talk about first is like Christmas meals and Christmas food, right? So what do you think about sort of having that one day on Christmas where you kind of gorge on a load of bad stuff? Do you think it's okay, or do you think it's like a bad thing?
I think it's fine depending on the person. Like if you're one of those people who can, like, you can have something like sweet or something nice without it like affecting your cravings, then you might be okay. But like for me, if I have like something unhealthy, like say I have like Christmas pudding or whatever, like my parents always get apple crumble. Like if there's like if I have like custard and like stuff that's got loads of sugar in it, I kind of just start craving it more, and I'll just want to eat like that's for me to like get back into not having that is like it's more like mentally it takes a bigger toll on me than just if I didn't have it in the first place. But like I don't like I think there are healthy alternatives. So if you are like someone like me, you can have like a healthy alternative to like say like you can make like whey protein brownies. Like you could have that, and then maybe with like low calorie ice cream. So you can have like healthy alternatives to the Christmas dessert. So like if you've got a healthy family, you could be like, why don't we make a healthy alternative for dessert on Christmas, like instead? Because some of them do actually taste good if you make them properly. And especially
you kind of sound like the Grinch.
Yeah, I'm just flat. I'm just not. Yeah, I don't know. Like I like for foods. I think like for like the main course, I don't think that the Christmas dinner's that unhealthy because it's like pretty high in protein, and then like you've got your vegetables there. Like I always top up on Brussels sprouts. Like I quite like Brussels sprouts. I don't know what it is, but like I like the vegetables. And then like braised potatoes. Potatoes are good for you. Like there's a reason why people who are paleo have potatoes in their diet. It's like stuff that's like naturally resourced, like what the cavemen used to eat. So that's like pretty healthy. I wouldn't say like if you're like keeping strict with like the meat, and then like obviously just have good portion of like vegetables and carbohydrates in your plate, you should be fine. But then I think from the majority of people, it's like the alcohol and then the dessert.
It's like all the chocolates. It's like all the chocolate. It's not even like if you have like one dessert, say like apple crumble or whatever. That's probably.
It's fine.
It's like it's the chocolates that are lying around like on the table that you're just picking at, and like biscuits and all of that stuff. That's where it goes bad.
I don't really let them in my house. Like I think the best thing to do for it is like limit the chocolatey period. I think that's the best way. Like just get your like if someone like your parents are doing the shopping for you or you're doing the shopping for yourself, maybe like limit the period where you have like Christmas food in your house by say like 5 days, Instead, like
Yeah.
if you've got chocolates in the house all month and like desserts
Yeah.
in the house all month, it's kind of like you're just using it as an excuse to eat unhealthy food. Like my coach said to me, he was like, I think we were talking about this last year. He was like, "How did you feel on Christmas?" And I was like, "I was good. I didn't eat like too much dessert, but I find it like if there's cheesecake in the house, like I'm like it kind of depresses me slightly because I like it so much, and I'll have it
Yeah.
for Christmas, but like otherwise it's not in the house. Like I don't want it there.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I feel like yeah, I completely agree with that. But also it's like kind of planning for like that one day. I
Yeah,
feel like, have you seen on like The Rock's Insta stories sometimes he puts up like this massive cheat meal like
yeah,
every week.
yeah. So like you
And
could,
people are like, how do you eat all of that and still stay fit? It's like he's got someone that's planning those meals, or he's planning those meals for him so that he reaches a certain calorie count, whatever, doesn't go above one. He always has a plan for it. So I think as long as you plan for like that one day where you eat loads of rubbish, it
I
should be
think
okay.
I never thought about this like before, but like like how people try to hit their like calorie intake like daily. Like I think the way you can if you like change it up so it's a bit like you sometimes that you do it like weekly instead of being so
Mm.
like say like you go over by a couple thousand calories on one day. So say on Christmas you go like 1,000 calories over. Say like your maintenance is like 3K calories and you eat 5,000. Then maybe the
Mm.
next couple of days just drop it a bit. So maybe eat
Yeah.
2,500, keep and then maybe 2,600 the next day, and then you like it adds up to the same as if you'd just done 3,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
That's one good way of doing it. Or like maybe do like a or like close the window that you're eating. So like I know that I remember listening to Joe Rogan talk about this. He said that if he goes on holiday and he has like say he has like some ice creams, like he's enjoying himself, then he'll do like a fast, like an intermittent fast the next day.
Mm.
Then he closes the window in which he's eating, so you kind of end up on the same calorie count. But then like the other thing is just plan your week for that day. So like if you're like, oh, I'm not going to work out on Christmas Day, maybe don't take a rest day too close to that time so that you've actually got your consistent training in and then you can actually take that day off. Whereas if it kind of breaks up your routine, it's going to be quite difficult to get back into it afterwards.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's kind of hard with like the mentality as well. Like I feel like there's a lot of, if you don't plan, I feel like it's very easy to feel guilty. And like I think it's important you have to enjoy the day. Like I feel like it's an important time to just enjoy with friends, eat stuff that's bad, whatever, but then you get back on track the next day. I
Yeah,
feel like also if you do maybe just go for like a jog in the morning or something, or a jog in the afternoon after everything's done, or like in the morning before everything starts happening. I
yeah.
feel like that will help mentality
Yeah, it's a
because
bit
you feel
weird.
like,
Yeah, I always work out Christmas morning, like even if the gyms aren't closed. Like I remember last year we were in lockdown, and I went to the park. I had all my like, resistance band, like kettlebell, and I did like a workout for like 45 minutes, and then but
mm,
like I felt good, like, and then I was like, oh, I deserve my Christmas lunch now. Like I can afford to have that dessert, or like if you
yeah,
go for a run or something, even like a light walk, just make sure you're staying active. But the issue is, I think the Christmas periods, it's not even like the Christmas period. It's like you've got Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then you've got that gap between Christmas and New Year's where a lot of people don't really
yeah,
work. It gets quite quiet, and I feel like you can just end up like either going out,
yeah,
just keep eating, or like the chocolates are still in the house. You're approaching New Year's, the alcohol starts to increase as you hit New Year's Eve and stuff. So I think it's just like that 10 days because it's not like one day, it's like 10 days. Like that people end up being like binge eating and drinking loads of alcohol. But you start having people over, you've got family over. It's quite hard it can be hard to stay disciplined when people are going, oh, just have it. It's just one day. It's just one ice cream. But then like if it's consistent, it's like, oh, well, I've just had like a week of not being like working towards my goals, you know?
yeah. You mentioned New Year's, but we're gonna talk about that a bit later, I think. But staying on Christmas for now, a bit away from like the fitness side, maybe more onto like the mental side of it. How
Mm.
important do you think it is for you in terms of like using it as an opportunity to see family, see friends? Because I mean, it's kind of it's a global holiday, isn't it, where everyone has time to see each other. So
Yeah.
do you think it's important to really use that time that everyone's off to make the effort to see them.
Yeah, definitely, because like I was thinking about this recently, and I haven't really spoken about it, but like the last month, I haven't been like very social. Like because I came to Paris to see you, and then like after that, I just wasn't like I didn't like that. It's also because I'm in London, I'm doing my placement, but then like other people were like either at different unis, maybe abroad. So like I'm kind of, and it's not even that. It's like I kind of needed a month off to be like not drink any alcohol. I did sober November. Like I didn't drink anything. And then like I feel like now I've kind of planned for it because I know that people are going to start coming home, and then I can start meeting people. And I won't feel too bad because then I can also go, oh, maybe in January I'll read it back again. But then like what you said about like seeing family and friends is quite important because I mean like we touched on this before, but like human like social interaction is very important. Like it's needed, and it doesn't even need to be in like a drinking environment or like going to a club or stuff. Like even just like seeing your friends for lunch, like stuff like that is quite important. And I think it's very good. It's good for your mental health as well, because you need to be able to like talk to people, have your support network around you. And it's just quite nice to catch up, like to see how people are
Yeah,
doing. And it kind of like caps off the year like quite well, because then you can go into the next year get like motivated, because you're like you can see if you've got a good group of people around, you can see what they've been up to and stuff,
yeah,
and catch up on that, you know.
yeah. It's like every Christmas Eve has kind of become a little tradition for us going to like a little pub or something, having
Yeah,
a drink and discussing. It's almost like therapy, isn't it?
yeah,
And I think you use that opportunity while everyone is around to
mm,
like to go and just have a chat, get stuff off your chest, enjoy a night with your mates and stuff. I think that's really important.
I quite, yeah, because it's quite nice, because when you have like a few, it's like social lubricant, isn't it? Like if you have like a couple drinks, I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but like if you do, then like sometimes the conversations just become a bit more like, because it kind of breaks down a bit of barriers that wouldn't
Yeah,
otherwise be there. Especially for guys, I think like we probably don't talk as much
we
um
should.
as we should, yeah. And which is one of the reasons. So like if you're able to break down those barriers, and I think Christmas is quite a good time to do that.
Mm. And another thing, while we're on Christmas, before we move on, it's like not giving gifts, but like just in terms of positivity. Like I think is a good opportunity to just spread positivity in a sense.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, this isn't Christmas related, but like I was at the gym and a guy came up to me. It was literally out of the blue, and he was just like, yo, I really like your hair. And it was kind of weird. It was like, but it had like such a big impact on me, just like that small little positive comment. He was like, where do you go to get your hair done? And I was like, oh wow. That's actually made me feel so happy. And it made me kind of realize that Christmas is a great opportunity to kind of show that you love people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what people are going through, and sometimes people might need it. I think it's a great opportunity to make people feel
Yeah.
happy.
I think
Because like you look at social media, like Twitter especially, it's so negative. Like all the comments are just hate after hate after hate. And it's like if you have the chance to make someone feel happy about themselves, I think you need to take it.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the four agreements. No, there's a book called the Four Agreements, and one of the big things is you should always be as kind like as possible. Like that's the way. Yeah, and like I think especially like seeing family, it can be difficult for certain people, because like say like a lot of the time like people might ask stuff in your personal life, like if you're seeing family and maybe like certain things aren't going the way you wanted them to, and they kind of get brought up because people ask questions, which is fine. But then I think we should be careful about like how we're asking stuff to people, because like you could be pulling on someone's like issues or their insecurities and maybe making them feel worse. So I think it can go both ways. um so I think that's quite important. I think it's also like it's quite common for everyone, like with when you're like 20 or something, and then like older generations are asking stuff about your like personal life, it can get a bit touchy feely. um so like that's quite important. I feel people should be more aware of that. because like that, I know for like a lot of like say people who don't have like a support network, Christmas can be quite a difficult time, you know.
Lonely time. Yeah.
So like I think we should be sensitive towards those individuals and make sure that we're making them feel involved and making them feel loved, as you said, you know.
Yeah. It's like it's just like the Christmas spirit, isn't it? Really, it's
Yeah,
like if you like, you should do this all the time, maybe, but at Christmas, like
it's a bit easier,
if you
maybe. Yeah,
that's lonely, that's on their own, maybe like just an old person at a restaurant or something, maybe just make the effort to go up to them and
yeah.
have a little chat. That might make their whole year. You never know. So it's little simple things like that, really, that can make someone's day.
Because I guess I feel like during the rest of the year, like everyone's got their stuff going on. Like there's not really another period of time where people have like a lot of time off.
Yeah,
Like, and this is like the only time where you can actually like reflect and stuff. Um,
yeah,
and we're quite lucky. Like even if you don't have not taking any work time off, I think we have 2 very long weekends, like
yeah,
consistent. So it's definitely a good time to like meet people, go out, socialize. So
yeah. Um, so I think that wraps that topic up quite nicely.
mm,
Another thing I've kind of seen trending online, especially, it happens every year, but especially this year. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. There's like this thing where you like girlfriend or boyfriend for Christmas sort of thing. I
no,
just wanted to see
I haven't seen it.
see what you think.
What is
Huh?
what is it? I haven't seen it.
It's basically just where you feel like you want a relationship for the period of
Oh,
Christmas, then you get it off in January.
yeah.
It's toxic. So I don't know. I was just wanted to see your
Yeah.
opinions on it.
I think you
And
don't know my thoughts on this because I've spoken about the relationship creating in the pandemic as well, and I feel like
yeah,
that ties into the. It's like, look, if you're not in a relationship and you want to be in one, I don't like find you can go look for it. Like I don't think it's not like, oh yeah, you like put yourself out there. I think that's quite important. But then don't be trying to get into relationships just for the sake of being them.
yeah,
And I feel like that happens to a lot of people who might not be comfortable being by themselves. And I don't know what advice I'd give to someone to do that, but I think they just need to be like increase how comfortable they are with themselves, and that only comes through doing stuff that you enjoy, maybe spending time with your friends. You don't need like it is nice to have that person, but then if you have a solid group of friends around you, I don't like know like whether you'd be pushed to that, if that makes sense. So but like if you're just gonna get into a relationship just to bin it off in January,
yeah.
it's also like what sort of person are you? Because if the other
No,
it's a
very
like
very toxic.
yeah, a relationship's codependent. So how can you go like, oh, I'm just gonna leave this person on for a year and then I'm gonna like kick them out of my life in January? You
I
know,
think it's
quite
like
attention seeking.
it's you have to communicate and be open realistically, don't you? Like you have to make sure the other person knows what you want, and if they don't want that, then you can't you shouldn't trick them into being thinking they're going to be in a long-term relationship just because you want it, sort of thing. I
Yeah,
think that's very
yeah. I
very
think
bad.
like I remember like so like for me, like if you're not looking for anything, I'm pretty honest. I'll just be like, well, like we can get on as friends or like just like hang out, like like spend time together. But like in terms of if I don't want a relationship, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I really want one, and then just bin it off a month later because it's not fair on the other person, and you're not a very good person if you do that. And I know a lot of it works. Both girls and guys do it, and it might make them feel better, but I don't know. Like that's not a nice way to be, and I don't really have a lot of respect for people who do that. You know,
Yeah.
because yeah,
So I think that wraps up Christmas. But just a couple of days later, we'll move on to the next event, the New Year.
mm,
So the biggest thing that everyone talks about for New Year every year is the New Year resolution that normally lasts about one
okay,
or two. You can see it in the gym. there's about an influx of about 100 or 200 people. Everything is crammed, and then within a week, everyone's gone again.
It drops to like
So
20 on the
exactly,
following week.
exactly. So what do you think about a New Year resolution? Do you think it's useful? Do you think it's not?
I've never actually had a New Year's resolution. Like I've never like really thought about it. Like I don't. Yeah, I don't like. I remember there was someone that I knew whose New Year's resolution was to like bulk up a bit, and he like got into good shape. Like, and he's consistently got into good shape. But like for I think for a lot of people, it's like they're coming off that month or so or of like binge eating and stuff, and they're like, okay, I need to sort my stuff out, and
Yeah.
then they lack the discipline of like keeping it up. And the thing
Mhm.
is, if you're just starting it in New Year's, why don't you start it 3 months before? Or like, why
Yeah.
don't you start it 6 months before? It's just because you lack the discipline to do it. And I think that you can't just build a discipline like that. You can't just go like, okay, I'm just going to go to the gym. And I think for a lot of people, they go in too hard as well. Because
Yeah.
I always used to be the thought that like I'd take someone to the gym and I'd make them do what I do, but I don't
Mhm.
think that's the right way to do it. Like I think, say like if someone's never exercised before, maybe get them to do like a 15-minute workout. Like
Yeah,
uh,
like when like when you made me do the 21s.
yeah, yeah. So like no, but you've been training a while, so that's pushing you. But like say we've got certain friends who don't work out, and you've been there and I've taken them to the gym and I basically have mentally broken them. Like it's not like, but the thing is, I don't think that's not a good thing to do to someone. I've now in hindsight, because that person's not going to want to go the next day, and it's also like their body hasn't built up the tolerance to deal with it. So the next day they're going to be sore. I'd rather than instead of doing like one really hard workout a year, I'd rather than do a 15-minute workout every day. You know, like that's probably the way to go. And I think it's like the same thing like with diet sustainability. You'll see a lot of people be like, I'm going on a diet. It's like, no, just eat healthy foods and stuff that you
Mhm.
enjoy. And over the long term, it's going to be more sustainable. And you'll be able to live a healthier lifestyle. It's the same thing with the summer thing where people are like, I'm going to get in shredded shape for the summer. But it's like, if you haven't if you haven't put the work in, you're not going to be able to do it in like 8 weeks unless you're taking anabolics or certain
Yeah, I
things. You
think
might
you
be able to get into good shape, but you're not going to look like Chris Hemsworth,
yeah,
like Thor, in 8 weeks' time. You know, like that's not going to happen.
I think you made a couple of really good points there. Like I think with the discipline, I think commitment is really important. Like if you make a New Year's resolution, you have to commit to it. You
Mm.
have to have it in mind that you're going to 100% commit to it. Because if you go into it half-assed, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
And
that.
also
Sorry.
said about like building up. So it's like if you put your New Year's resolution as you want to be able to run a 5K,
Mm.
say sub minutes if you're beginning from scratch, whatever. You can't go into it expecting to run it sub 30 in your first run. You
No.
have to go like for a 1K run. It's like the thing on the NHS app,
Mm.
the couch to 5K.
Yeah.
It builds you up until you get to a point where you can do the 5K and you're
Yeah.
happy with it. You have
Yeah.
to accept the
The
process.
issue I have with that is with the couch to 5K is very generalized. Like
Yeah,
it's quite like they'll you kind of follow the same program without like checking your
yeah.
body.
I'm saying it's like a good
No,
program.
no,
I was
no,
just
I know because my parents did it, and I was like, they were running like very short distances to build up, but I said like I think anyone can finish a 5K. They can finish
yeah,
it,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
the time. So like even if like say you want to run 5K and it takes you 45 minutes, so what? It took you 45 minutes. Okay. Like you could do it that way. I think there's two ways of doing it. But in terms of like the how like intense your workouts are, don't
yeah,
like go all for nothing straight away. Build yourself in, which is basically what
yeah,
the purchase of 5K is, you know. Um, and like I don't think people do that. They might like hire, but I think it's also like a knucklehead mentality. I used to have that mentality. Like I'd go into the gym and I just train like as hard as possible, and I still do. But I've got the tolerance for it now. But like maybe when I was younger, I didn't. Or like a lot of people will, and then you can actually get injured, and then your capabilities to keep doing it long term are just a lot lower.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't,
So you kind of touched on it, but do you think it's better to because some people will literally think, well, like they'll use the New Year's resolution, right, as a way of putting something off. So say they want to get in shape, they want to get fit, they'll say, I'll do it, I'll do it next year, I'll wait
yeah.
until New Year's, new year, new me, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So do you think it's better to start today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like don't just make a New Year's resolution, do it today's
Why are you why are you writing your New Year's resolution 10 days ahead? You've got 10 days before that, then you're 10 days ahead of the curve. Like it doesn't make sense. Like you could like if I decide today that I want to run a marathon, like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go like, oh, I'll wait till February to start training. I'm gonna be like, no, I'm gonna run today. Like it's the discipline involved and it's the mentality involved. Like you just start now. Like it doesn't like you're not gonna be in any better shape than you were now in a couple of weeks time. Yeah, if anything, you might be in worse, and you're kind of
Yeah.
prepping for that. So like it's just get it. I think the best way to do it is write it down, because this is something that makes me feel a bit shit about myself sometimes, and it's good. No, because it's good because it makes me productive. I write out everything I want to do in a day as soon as I get up, or like as soon as I wake up, and then
Yeah.
if at the end of the day, I'm quite lenient with it. Like, say if I miss 2 things, it's not a big deal. But like if I
Yeah.
miss like loads of stuff, I'm like, oh my God. But like I think
Yeah.
it's specifics. It's like I have to get the workout in. Okay, like I have to get a good night's sleep. I have to drink enough. It's like I have to. We had I don't know, it was like a stress management person in at work, and it was really good. Like a lot of the stuff he said was quite interesting. But one of the things he said was like write down 3 things and go like I should do this, I ought to do this, and I must do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes swap it with I would like to, I might. But then I was thinking, well, that's really passive, because if you go I would like to go to the gym, then it's like, I'm not going to do it. Like if I'm like I would like to go to the gym, like I'll be like, oh well, I don't have to. Whereas if I'm like I have to go, I'll go. Like it's the mentality. I don't. Yeah. And I think for some people, what you were saying was it might stress you out if having to
Yeah.
do something, but like it's part of for your health. I was watching a podcast the other day with a guy called Peter Asia. I hope I'm saying his name right. And he's like a longevity coach. And what he said was that by having the cardiovascular of an elite athlete, you have 5 times less all-cause mortality. If you have high levels of muscle mass, you have 3 times less chance of all-cause mortality. Then and then it's like he was like, no medically prescribed drug provides you with those benefits. So I don't understand why. Like I feel like everyone should be exercising, like
Yeah.
everyone should be like doing cardio. Everyone should be not even lifting weights, but doing something that's physically like resistance training, some form of resistance training to build up that strength. And like,
what was I going to say? Uh, yeah, with the New Year's resolution, for me, I feel like it can be used as motivation if you have the discipline to follow it.
yeah,
I feel like it's a good source of motivation. And also, I think I did one when I was young, but I feel like I did it with like a schoolmate where we were both just like, yeah, we'll go out and practice football every day. And we'll commit like an hour after school each day to go and play football, and we stuck to it because we didn't want to let the other person down. So I
that's
think
quite
doing
good,
it
actually.
also helps.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with a New Year's resolution or you're failing, and that's the other thing as well. If you if you fail for one day, don't let it then affect the whole thing. Don't just give up after one day. You're always going to have bad days.
I think
Yeah, so I think
yeah, so like if you have another person, that's quite good. But then the issue is choosing who that person is. Because if
yeah,
you have
obviously
another person who's gonna like quit the same way, it's the same thing. It's like I feel like a lot of the stuff we say just ties into like surrounding yourself with the right people. It's always the same, you know, like it's just make sure, like maybe go with, if you've got someone who actually works out, who's actually
Yeah.
consistent with them, be like, oh, my New Year's resolution is to come to the gym with you. Like,
Hmm.
or get a personal trainer and be like, my New Year's resolution is to go to the personal trainer twice a week, or
Yeah.
like have an online coaching, you know, like that stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So
Yeah.
I think we've rinsed New Year's resolution enough.
Mm.
So that leaves one place left to discuss.
What is
Your
it?
prediction for the Jake Paul Tommy Fury fight.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, there's a few big fights. What date is that one?
Yeah, it's happening soon. It's happening in December sometime.
Was it? I don't. Maybe it's not this weekend. Is it the following weekend?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. My prediction for the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury fight. The thing is, I'm quite worried for for Molly May's boyfriend. That's why. And I'll tell you why I'm worried. He fought a 5'8" former MMA fighter. Okay, not boxer, former MMA fighter who has fought in MMA at 155 pounds, which is about my weight, 70 kilograms. Okay. So the fact that he wasn't able to dispose of him
Yeah,
makes me quite worried about someone who just knocked out Tyron Woodley.
yeah.
And then the second thing is, I know they're saying there's like no knockout clause thing in the contracts, and I know
Hmm.
that is his name John Fury, the dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he said that if there was one of those clauses, he wouldn't let them fight. But then when they're shining a lot of money in your face, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I don't know, because like, and then it was like in the Tyron Woodley fight when Jake Paul fought him, and Tyron Woodley like literally rocked him, like had him against the ropes, and he just stood there, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, like it's a bit suspect. But my prediction was, I think it'll go to decision. I don't see either of them knocking each other out. And then it goes to, the thing is, I hope, because you'd expect, it depends on how hard he's been training. Because the thing is with Tommy Fury, he's also like an influencer. Like,
Yeah.
is his commitment to being a
Well, I
boxer.
mean, you could say Jake Paul's a YouTuber there, kind of similar.
Yeah, but the thing is, I've read that he's actually been training like a full-fledged savage, you know, like,
But surely with the people that Tommy Fury has around him, there's
yeah,
no way and John are gonna
yeah,
let him slack. My
no, you're
opinion
right. Yeah. And I remember, yeah,
that he over Jake, like that training and that insight he's gonna get from those two is absolutely insane. I don't think Jake can match that with any of the trainers he's gonna get.
yeah. But I think it's also the fact that it's not like, oh, I don't even know. It's weird because he's definitely exceeded my expectations. I remember when he started, I was like, oh, he's just a YouTube boxer. Like a lot of the people, a lot of friends I know, like who fight, would knock him out. Like that's what my mentality was. And I watched him fight a few times. It's like maybe he's not actually that bad.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, I don't even know if we should be giving clout to these people. Like, I don't even know if we should. Like, I'd rather watch like the UFC card this weekend,
Yeah,
or
that's another interesting thing. Just while we're on this, do you think the influencers getting involved in boxing and even MMA now? There have been some MMA influencer fights, not big ones, but sort of
yeah, I
small
saw like a few
level.
like Geordie Shore people had a fight,
Yeah.
like MMA. Yeah,
Do you think, because there's been a lot of debate around the impact, like on one hand, it's growing the sport. It's definitely, you can't deny, like the eyes on the sport now is huge
mm.
because of what they're doing. But do you think it's a positive or a negative?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
The positive is, by bringing more eyes to a card, you're able to give the fighters under the main card a bit more money. They're going to get paid better because the views, they're going to draw more eyes. So say like if Jake Paul is fighting in an event in the main card, and then you've got a young up and coming boxer, he's going to get more recognition because he was on that card. But the issue is like, at what point you're not allowing the other fighters to mature into pay-per-view stars, you know? Like,
Mm.
are you going to be able to see another Conor McGregor, like that sort of impact, have someone of that sort of impact who's actually a true fighter, when you've got like
Well, that's
YouTube?
Jake. Isn't it? That's Jake. He's having that impact. You can't deny.
No, but he's not, because he doesn't. The skill level is different. Like
Mm.
there's a difference.
But in terms of like how global he's gone,
Yeah, no, but
and
that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying
yeah,
is that the ability for someone who's actually got the skills
yeah,
to reach that level is a lot harder, because they're not going to achieve the certain recognition. When
mm,
Ariel Helwani is interviewing Jake Paul or Tommy Fury, that reduces the likelihood that someone who's up and coming is going to get interviewed or is going to get that recognition. It's also the money factor. Like, how would you feel? Say
yeah.
say you're trying to get a law degree, okay, and then and you become a lawyer. How would you feel that after you put in all that work of getting a law degree, that they just start going, well, you don't need to have a law degree to become a lawyer, or you don't need to have that's basically the same. It's basically the same thing. Or that person getting more money than you or getting paid better than you, whereas you've been putting the
But
hard work
that,
in since you were 3. You know.
yeah, it's kind of, I don't know though. It's kind of like
But it's show business, isn't it? So you can't
yeah,
hate on it. You can't hate on it. It's all sport is show business. But the difference between boxing and say a sport like football is no one gives. If watching Roger Federer is watching Roger Federer, yeah.
mm.
If you get Tommy Fury to play tennis, it's not like, no one's gonna watch that. Like, who gives
What
a
do you
shit?
mean?
If you get any
Oh,
celebrity
oh,
playing tennis,
do you mean people are only interested in fighter
it's
people
like
becoming?
it's yeah, like the only I think this is the only sport where you can actually sell it. Like, you can't
Yeah.
really sell
To
it in
be
other
fair
sports.
though, there have been like obviously there's the massive football match. What's it called? The
Oh, I the
massive.
soccer aid one. The soccer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only other thing I kind of think of. But you're right, fighting has become the sort of one that everyone's drawn to because I think it's it's not like the easiest to get into, but it's the easiest to get into and gain a crowd quickly
Yeah,
because
because
people like watching the interviews and getting feisty with each other and stuff
and
like that.
and because boxing's kind of a decaying sport. Like, the UFC is less so, but the UFC is going like this, like going shooting to the stars. But boxing has been decaying with the growth of the UFC. And the thing is, you've got less connoisseurs of boxing, so not many people understand it. Like, for me, like, if I watch like two YouTube boxers, it doesn't really interest me because their technique is just not there. I'm just watching two, like, in my opinion, I'm just watching two people brawl. Like, it's not interesting.
That's
Um,
what people
but
they
yeah,
want to.
but that
God,
if you don't have the
now.
appreciation for that, for the technique and for the stuff,
Yeah,
which most people don't, they just want to see two people scrap and one of them get knocked out.
yeah,
Then these fights are like basically built for that, you know. Uh,
yeah.
but like, at the end of the day, if the issue is like, when I remember I was in like the gym once and these kids were like putting their gloves on and they were talking about like Tommy Fury and Jake Paul fighting. And I was like, this is so depressing. Like, they should be talking about like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, like people like that, you know, Deontay Wilder. And
Yeah.
it's like you're just taking away. And then you've got kids watching this. So is the level of boxing just going to decay because they're watching the wrong things? I don't know. You
I
know.
don't know, but the thing to play devil's advocate, you could say that they'll watch that and they'll want to go and train at like a proper little gym. They'll want to get into the sport. Like
Yeah.
they don't have the opportunity to really just get into the sport and not have any training. I don't think that's possible, is it? So like you'd have to at least go and get some
Yeah, but
basic
or they
training.
could go, yeah, but you could look at it the other way. They could be like, maybe I just have to become a famous Instagram influencer, chat loads of shit, and then maybe I can get boxing. And maybe
Yeah, that works.
maybe it's not the skills that they might go like, maybe it's not the skills that I actually need. It's just
Yeah,
the attention. I just need to bring eyes. And I think that that's why Connor's been so successful, because he did both. He had the skills and he brought the attention. Like Jorge
Yeah.
Masvidal, Adesanya, those guys,
Yeah.
like those are the guys who like I look up to.
Yeah.
But like I don't look up to Jake Paul. You know, like he's not setting the right example. And if he does want to do it, I think that I know it draws a lot of eyes, but he needs to start being slightly more respectful, because it's getting a bit cringe. And also he needs to realize that sometimes he's talking to people who are very dangerous human beings. Like he was chatting shit to Daniel Cormier.
But he thrives off that. That's why
Yeah,
he's so big.
but I remember Daniel Cormier literally being in his face at the UFC and being like, "I'm going to mess you up." Like
Yeah. But,
he's on a
but
thin line. Like he's on a
even that,
very thin line.
but even that just grows him. Like, do you remember when he stole Floyd Mayweather's cap?
Yeah, and he got his ass
And like,
beat.
yeah, no, but even that get the popularity that gave him.
Yeah, but that just shows that he's willing to get his ass kicked just for money.
But if that works for him, he doesn't care, does he?
Yeah, fair play. Why not? But I just don't think I wouldn't like. Well, it's a lot of money, but like I
Yeah.
don't know if would you want to get your ass kicked for loads of money? I don't know.
It does.
Well, I guess you could say he got hit by Floyd Mayweather. That's probably...
to wrap it up, so we can clip this and get hopefully loads of views on Instagram. What's your final prediction for the fight?
Decision. I want Tommy to win, but I'm going to go decision Jake Paul.
Okay, for the sake of variety, I'm going to go Tommy Fury knockout, round 2.
What are you? And then but everyone, there is a big UFC card this weekend, so forget the Tommy Fury thing and watch that, because if you actually want to watch some real savages compete, then watch that, please, because Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira, kicking the end of the year off. You know, like that's a big fight.
So. Cool. So do we leave it there then?
Yeah.
Our little episode.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we go though, we have hopefully have a very exciting guest coming up soon. So please stay tuned for that.
Yeah. We'll have a few things planned, I think, especially for the new year. But we will be very consistent with uploads. So even though we were a bit late this week, we will.
And hopefully no technical difficulties.
Yeah. Oh, I think if you know someone there's a few topics that I'd like to discuss. So if you know someone who's very well versed in the vegan diet, that'd be something that's quite interesting for both of us to understand, because neither of us are vegan. I'd be quite interested. Hopefully, if you have some qualifications in that aspect, that would be quite interesting. And any forms of like strength and conditioning, and yeah, please get in touch. So it will be quite interesting to speak to you.
Or any interesting stories at all, please.
Not even just fitness. If you've got anything you want to address, like we're quite interested in listening to you, and especially if you're looking to provide positive impact, that's something that both of us are interested in. So
cool. So see you later, guys.
Yeah, we'll end it there, and I'll cut out my sneeze.